All right, hello and welcome to our presentation on the LEA data displays that are tied to the SPP APR indicators 11, 12, and 13. If you were in the monitoring cohort for FFY 21, which is the 2021-2022 school year, and collected indicator 11 through 13 data, these data displays have been presented for you and created and are saved on our Dropbox. So the audience for this presentation is for the districts that were in the monitoring cohort, and that is each LEA who is monitored by the state in the fall of 2021 as part of the tiered focus monitoring process. You will have received a breakdown of their results on the Part B State Performance Plan, or SPP, and Annual Performance Report, or APR. Put it together, it's the SPP APR, compliance indicators 11, 12, and 13. These displays were developed so that monitored LEAs can have a quick snapshot of their indicator data. The data reflects only the findings from applicable records within the prescribed timeframes, which we will review on the next few slides. This is a look at the summative one-page data display with the compliance data for the three indicators. These data displays can be found in your LEA Special Education State Performance Plan Dropbox. You can see at the top of the document the reference school year covered in the data analysis. So in this case, it is 2021 to the 2022 school year. And we're going to go into a little closer look at each indicator on the next slides.
Hi, so we're going to look at what you did for your Group A review. We collected your three indicators, 11, 12, and 13, during that 21-22 school year. So indicator 11 is a compliance measure related to child find. It's a measure of the percentage of children whose evaluation and eligibility for special education is determined within the Massachusetts timeline of 45 school working days. This measure includes children aged 3 and up from whom consent for initial evaluation, as you'll remember, was October 1 through December 31 of that 21-22 school year, and includes those who are determined eligible and not eligible for services. It does exclude students who are identified with a new disability based on a reevaluation and initial evaluations completed outside the date range used for monitoring, and those students who had delays in evaluation that were considered allowable federal exceptions. And we will provide more information about that shortly. So when a record is reviewed, it's determined that compliant if the initial evaluation and eligibility was determined within those Massachusetts 45-day school working day timeline, or if the reason for delay met federal and state exemption requirements. Per federal requirements, those records meeting federal compliance exceptions requirements are not included in the compliance percentage. An example of a federal exemption to the timeline is if a student is transferred into a district with an open initial evaluation and the receiving district was making reasonable efforts to complete the evaluation in a timely manner. A state exemption that is allowable are included in the percentage. State exemptions might include things like extensions with agreement of the parent and weather-related delays. The Federal Office of Special Education requires LEAs to say 100% compliant. Instances of non-compliance result in corrective action plans, and you will have worked through those with your monitoring chair. The data display provides LEAs a quick snapshot of their overall compliance, and you can click on those when you're looking at them to enlarge, and I think that just happened. And in this case, the LEA was 100% compliant, meaning all records reviewed were compliant. And you can also click on compliance animation to decrease it back to the normal size. And thank you for that, Greg. The overall compliance you see in the breakdown of number of records reviewed for this measure and the count of compliant and non-compliant records. Again, for this measure, the number of records represented all children aged 3 and up for whom consent for initial evaluation was received through that October 1 through December 31 timeline within the district, and excludes any records meeting federal requirements for exceptions. The last data element provided for indicator 11, and you can click on the data set to enlarge, there we go, is the percentage of referred students within the 3-month time frame who were found eligible for services. This data is not part of the district's compliance finding. It is only intended to provide LEAs with additional data analysis that can be helpful when evaluating their own data. And you can make that small again, thank you. And at the bottom of each section, you'll find a statement. More information about this indicator and other SPP APR data can be found here. This hyperlink takes you to the state web page for this indicator and further details and resources specific to this indicator. So the next thing we're going to look at is indicator 12. And that indicator measures the percentage of children who received early intervention services Part C and are found eligible for a disability under Part B, who have an IEP implemented by their 3rd birthday. So who this includes is children who've received early intervention services prior to their 3rd birthday, children who were referred by the local early intervention to the school district, and who turned 3 years old from January 1st to March 31st. Children who are determined eligible and not eligible for Part B services. It does exclude children who turn 3 years old outside that time frame of January to March. Children referred by a parent or agency other than early intervention. And like indicator 11, the LEAs or districts are expected to be 100% compliant for indicator 12, and any non-compliance results in corrective action plan. So you would have worked through that again with your PSM chairperson. While federal reporting includes a summary of all children's records within the 3 months monitored, this data display for indicator 12 focuses on the compliance of records for only the children who were referred for Part C at least 90 days before their 3rd birthday and found eligible for those Part B services. The last data set provided for the indicator, and you can enlarge that, is the percentage of students within the 3-month time frame who were found eligible for Part B and were determined for eligible for Part C at least 90 days prior to their 3rd birthday. As with indicator 11, this data is not part of the district's compliance findings, but intended to provide the LEA US districts with additional data analysis that can be helpful when evaluating your own data. And so you can put that back to its next thing and go to the next slide. So in our natural progression of students, this is indicator 13. This is our secondary transition. And indicator 13 measures the percentage of youth with IEPs ages 16 and above. And I know that's just for Massachusetts purposes, we do collect age 14 and above. And the IEP includes appropriate measurable post-secondary goals that are annually updated and based on age-appropriate transition assessment. Transition services, including courses of study that will reasonably enable the student to meet those post-secondary goals. Annual IEP goals related to the student's transition services needs. Evidence that the student was invited to the IEP team meeting where transition services are to be discussed. And evidence, if appropriate, that a representative of any participating agency was invited to the team with the prior consent of the parent or student if the student has reached the age of majority. So this measure includes a sample of up to 35 records for students age 14 and above who had an IEP team meeting from October 1 through March 31. This is a 6-month period, it's a little longer. It excludes students who are not age 14 and above and students with IEP meetings that are outside the date range for monitoring. As with other compliance indicators, the Federal Office of Special Education requires 100% compliance. For each record review, records are found non-compliant if they are missing any of the elements for indicator 13. And so you'll remember as a district, this was more of a checklist indicator process for you in our web-based system. And the required elements listed in the Massachusetts Post-Secondary Transition Planning Checklist for indicator 13. So you can look at that, and LEAs demonstrating any non-compliance will need to complete their corrective action. And again, you would have done that with your TFM chairperson. Like indicators 11 and 12, the display for indicator 13 provides overall LEA compliance when a breakdown and then a breakdown of records reviewed. DESE provides additional data, and so there's a data field that can be enlarged to provide the LEA with that additional data analysis, which can be helpful if you're looking at your program. And the first set of data represents the percentage of records monitored that had more than one checklist item found non-compliant. And the checklist can be found on the DESE Indicator 13 website and includes all the required elements for this measure. So just remember, record is considered non-compliant even if one item was missing on the checklist. And we go over this when we set up your Group A reviews and when we get ready to collect your indicators. The percentage is provided so that LEAs can have a better awareness of the depth of their non-compliance. The second data set represents percentage of records monitored that had a transition plan form completed within 20 days of the IEP date. DESE wants to highlight this information for districts and LEAs because it's the expectation that this transition planning form be completed prior to developing an annual IEP each year for our children over 14. The result of the planning form should inform the development of the IEP. And so you can look at that additional data set that goes back, and we can go on with our presentation to the next slide.
Thank you, Liza, for the overview of what the data displays will show for indicators 11, 12, and 13. Want to also point out some additional resources that we have on our website. So each indicator page for 11, 12, and 13 have been developed, and those are linked right in the document under the for more information and resources, please click here. And when you click those links, it will take you to the DESE website for that specific indicator. We strongly encourage that all district staff review the websites to gain better understanding of the measures, the data that is included, and resources that can be used for training purposes. Additionally, we have created indicator one-pagers, which are very similar to the web pages, but they are downloadable Word documents. And we've created these for each indicator 11, 12, and 13. You can find them on the individual indicator webpage. It's called Indicator 11, Quick Reference Guide, one pager, Indicator 12, Quick Reference Guide, one pager. It's all under the resource section of each indicator webpage. These Word documents include a lot of important information. They go over what the indicator is, how compliance is calculated, what will happen if there is non-compliance found for a specific indicator, much like Liza had talked about. You would work through corrective action plans with your public school monitoring liaison, but it provides step-by-step of what could happen to address non-compliance. And we've also develop some tips and tricks, if you will, for districts that would be helpful to ensure that you are compliant in your indicator 11 through 13 records when you do go through tiered focus monitoring. Additionally, we have developed a full SPP APR website for all other indicators not related to 11 through 13. But on this page, you will find general information about the SPP APR and all of the other indicators that are not captured in this data display. From this website, you can also access all other district and state level data reports for each indicator that is included within the SPP APR. You will also find links to the most recent SPP APR that was submitted in February, and other additional resources that would be helpful for you as a district as you are planning and would like to know more about the SPP APR. Finally, if you do have any questions about the SPP APR in general, you are free to contact me. My email is there on the screen, gregory.toby@mass.gov. If you have questions about tiered focus monitoring or indicators 11 to 13, Specifically, as it relates to public school monitoring, you can contact Liza at elizabeth.y.ahern@mass.gov, and we'd both be happy to answer any questions for you. Again, you can find your district reports or data displays on the Special Education State Performance Plan Dropbox on the security portal. Those were uploaded within the past week, so you'll want to look for something from June 2023 as a PDF, and you can download that and review it. And that is all that we have for today. So again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.